So, Emmett, acting is a very daunting, but it is a very fulfilling role. What got you interested in doing all this?
Well, I've always wanted to be an actor ever since I was a kid. I always had a passion for the arts, I should say. I've always wrote poems and music, and as a kid, I actually asked my parents to get me involved in acting. But at the time, for whatever reason, we couldn't really get involved in it in a structured way. I couldn't actually take acting classes, but it's always been in my heart. Like I've always had a big imagination. I've always had me and my brother and sister would always, just play those games that kids play. And I was always kind of shy as well, so I was kind of afraid to really kind of jump forward and make that leap. So after a couple of years of playing college football, then once I graduated, I decided to give it a shot again. And I took a couple of extra roles. Still was very, I still was very anxious and nervous, but I just kept pushing forward. Got a couple small acting opportunities, and kind of just caught the acting bug.
So, getting that you actually came back into acting, what was that one thing that made you want to come back to it? Because I mean, everybody has a different story of how they got into the business, but it sounds like you were already well into a football career.
Yes, well, I don't know if you would call it a football career, but I played college football. Then I went to Europe to play. Then I played professional indoor football, and afterwards, I was trying to figure out what to do with my life. I knew I didn't want to sit behind a desk or a cubicle. I didn't want to just be a 9 to 5er, and I was just kind of going through some weird times. I was trying to be a teacher. I was, a personal trainer, and then finally, I signed up for a talent agency, and they sit me on a couple of castings. And what really got me going was when I booked my first speaking role. It was a very small role,
Mm-hmm.
a one-liner. I was so kind of clueless as to how it worked. Once I went to the audition, my agent was like, "Emmett, you have a callback," and I was like, "Callback?" It's like I can't. Can they just call me like in a minute? I gotta go to work. They're like, "No, I don't think you." They're like, "No, I don't think you know what that means. Like people don't just get." It's like my first or second ever audition for a speaking role, and they were like, "No, that's a big deal. You trust me. A lot of people don't get callbacks, and people do this for years and they don't get callbacks." So I was like, "Oh, okay." So I went, booked the role, and at the time, because I just started, it was like I had just started like a year before that. So I'm like, "Wow, is this easy?" I was like, "Man," and I love acting in the arts, but I learned after that that the opportunities come few and far between. But once I booked that role, it was like I don't know, just the passion and everything opened up because I just love acting. I love the feeling of being able to express yourself through the different characters. I like that aspect of it. It's definitely a way of expressing yourself to others and putting yourself in other people's shoes and getting in front of the camera so the world can see it and appreciate it. So I've been enjoying it ever since.
Well, that's great. So a lot of people like the storytelling aspect of being an actor. For you specifically, what excites you? What do you like to see on the page that draws you in?
Um, just real, well, first of all, just brilliant writing because I think we can all admit that there's some scripts where and sometimes even big budget scripts. You read it and you're like, okay, what is this? There's not much meat to it. But of course, you as an actor, you have to still bring that script and that role to life, or that character to life. But there's sometimes you get these scripts and you're just like blown away. Like there's scripts I've received that I couldn't stop reading them, and I can see the story unfolding in my mind, and I can relate to it and feel it and start to feel the emotion. And I'm like, man, I don't even have to do much homework. I know what this writer's trying to say. I mean,
Right.
this is brilliant. And it's like, wow. And then certain roles, if you book them, you're like, I can't believe I got the opportunity to play this role. I don't have to do anything. It's like the writer did everything for me. It's like magic. So I like those scripts are just well written, and you just know that it's going to be magic from the start. So, yeah.
Let's talk about your role on Burn Notice. Was that your first major TV role or
Yes, and it was a quick one-liner, but yes, it was my first major television role.
what was that like? Because I know a lot of people who, they see you on screen with, people like Bruce Campbell, Jeffrey Donovan. I mean, all these people, and they're like, How do you do it? Because a lot of people would, a lot of us who aren't in the industry would be starstruck. How do you get the nerve to actually do what you need to do?
I gotta be honest with you. I don't know if I ever get the nerve to do what I need to do because naturally I am. That's why I'm naturally. Some people would say I'm shy, but it just depends. One of those guys. I'm one of those guys that if I've known you for a while and I'm kind of close to you, I can't shut up. But for the most part, I'm kind of shy and reserved and kind of quiet.
Mm-hmm.
So when they find out I even acted, like my friends I haven't seen you in years, like I'm just shocked that first of all see you on camera, know you personally.
Right.
Personally, you don't even say much, and you don't do anything. So I'm kind of just blown away. So my first day on set of Burn Notice, I was horrified. I was nervous. I was glad that the first, because I think I auditioned for Burn Notice once before, and it was a much meatier role, and I was actually put on hold for that one. I think that was my first time ever auditioning,
Mm-hmm.
and I was shocked. I was on hold for it. So that first option was a much bigger role, and I'm kind of glad I didn't get it because nerve-wise, I don't know how I would have done. So I'm kind of glad I had the smaller role to start because I was like, okay, I can't really mess this up. I can't really mess this up. But it was hard to actually enjoy that moment because my heart was pounding, my nerves were everywhere. I mean, but it was fun at the same time. So it was like a thrill, but it was tough. I don't. It was hard. I know a lot of actors out there maybe like, it's just one line, but for me it was huge. And I was
Oh,
just glad to kind of get through it actually.
that's it's really enlightening because a lot of people take it for granted that this stuff is work. They think, oh, I can go and be a natural and just walk on and talk to them. But little do they realize that, like John says, the camera is an X-ray, so it'll see right through
Right.
you. And if you have this fake confidence and you actually go on there and it shows you're not prepared, I mean, it looks bad on everybody, not just you. So, but that's a great thing, that feeling,
Well, that's the other thing too. You know that it's a lot of pressure. Like I said, the camera doesn't lie. So you're like, okay, you're around veterans. That's another thing that kind of works your mind, or at least my mind, because you're like, hey, these guys, some of them classically trained, been doing it
Right.
10 years, 15 years, hundreds of credits. And you're like, okay, this big budget, how much money's going into it. So you're like, okay, I have to deliver. And sometimes you can't help but think about that, and that's a lot of pressure, at least for me.
So what do you do when you're not booking roles, and what is, what's your schedule like?
I have an acting coach that I recently started using, but before that, I would just take workshops here and there. But that's not the only type of training that I did. I've read every book you can think of: Stanislavski, Uta Hagen, Ivana Chubbuck, and I just study scripts. Just try to watch a lot of television shows, and just I try to just study in any way I can.
Mm.
That's pretty much it. Just try to stay prepared. But I realized that, okay, if you want the bigger roles, you want the meatier roles, the heavier roles, you're going to have to do more consistent training. So I just started really training consistently on a weekly basis so I can really be prepared because I don't want that big opportunity to come and I'm not prepared. So but yeah, at first, I didn't realize the technicalities of acting, how important until I think it was an actor on set broke it down for me. Because at first I was kind of just going off the natural ability because I had rationalized in my head, and I still agree to this. I still agree with this to a certain aspect. I come from kind of a diverse background. I come from we didn't have much growing up, but now I live in the upper middle class area and do football. I travel all around the United States, all around the world, and I've had friends from all different types of backgrounds. I've had I know people that are well off. I know people that, I know it all. First, I'm like, acting is life. So a lot of the scripts I was getting initially, I was just like, I know this person. I can relate to this person almost 90% of the time. So I was kind of just going off of that. Then I start realizing that's not enough. You need every aspect of this art, to thrive. You need all the training possible. So I've been kind of trying to really get it all together so I can be very well prepared if I'm going to be going up against the higher actors in the game. So if that makes sense.
Oh no, definitely. I mean, it's just like I said with sports, you have to train, and you want to get into like the NFL or any of the big leagues. You gotta push that extra mile because everybody else is. So
Oh yeah, well that's what I meant. I don't know if I even made that point since I'm gonna just get to
mhm,
rambling. Yeah, that's what the other actor was that. So it's like, look, LeBron James, he's considered the best in the world,
right,
and he still trains, and he trains like a madman, and he's been doing it like 15 years. You know what? He's like, you played football before, and you train, and I was known for my work ethic as an athlete.
right,
So I was like, you know what? That's true. This is no different. It's a profession,
right.
and that's when I started attacking the profession with the same mentality that I had as an athlete.
Let's talk about dream roles because everybody has this one role that they want to play, whether it's something that's been put out before or it's a story that they've encountered sometime in their past that if it ever were made into a series or a movie that they'd want to play. What would that role be for you?
Dream role. I don't know if I have a dream role, but I've always dreamed of being the next great action hero. You know, like if that makes, I've always loved action movies and superhero movies like Rambo. I love Rambo. I watch it over and over again. It's ever on TV. I can't stop watching it. Like I love Rambo. I love every single Rambo, and I love just action. Superhero movies. Like X-Men and Avengers, and I'm obsessed with that type of stuff. So it would be like the next, like The Rock or something. Just the next great action hero.
That would be really cool. Action is very versatile too. You could do, dramatic, or you could do action like action comedy. Those are cool
Right.
too. But yeah, that would be cool. That would definitely be cool because then you would get an action figure at some point.
And that would be a dream come true. And, because that's what our Demolition Man, all that crazy stuff.
Uh-huh.
All this stuff, Demolition Man, but I love that type of stuff. So to be a part of a movie like that and to be the lead would be surreal to me.
So I want to go into Stan Against Evil right now. So Stan, so you were featured in the second season, and
Yes.
you were a character that's familiar in the Bond movies, Baron Samedi. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so when you first got that role, what was running through your mind? I mean, not just Baron Samedi, but the Bone Daddy, a very big figure in voodoo mythology. What was that when you first got the call back saying, "Hey, you got it"?
Oh, I was excited. I had did a little research and I realized it was a very big character in voodoo mythology, but I didn't know much about uh, Baron Samedi and the Jeffrey Holder character
Yeah.
in Live and Let Die. I didn't know about that until I was actually on set getting the makeup done.
Mm-hmm.
So that was new to me. But once um, I looked it up and started researching Jeffrey Holder, I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. So I was just excited. I mean, I was honored that they would trust me with that role. I didn't realize the role had been, played in very different ways throughout time. And I learned a little bit about food history as well. So I was just excited about it, and again, it was a little pressure because I was like, you know what, I want to hopefully I can do the character justice, do the role justice. I went back and looked at some clips of Jeffrey Holder, and just to kind of get a feel on how he played it. But I kind of wanted to bring my own spin and flavor to it as well. But yeah, I was excited.
So Gerard Duquette, which is the character, he's a little bit mysterious. We don't know if he plays the good guy or the bad guy. And the other thing too is, he's hiding something pretty strong.
Yes.
One of the things I was always curious about with actors is that some actors get very excited when they hear the storyline, and sometimes
Right.
they spoil it. They have a tell, just like when you're playing poker. How do you
Yeah.
prevent that tell?
Well, with my opinion, the only way to handle that is just preparation. I prepared my butt off for that role, especially for the third season. Those scripts, I mean, I analyzed them, broke it down in every way imaginable, and I tried to just stay in the moment with those scenes. And it was John and and I just tried to forget about what was ahead. I understood what was going to happen, but I tried to just forget about it, if that makes sense, and focus on the now, focus on the present moment, and so that I can keep the audience guessing and keep myself kind of guessing as well. It's kind of a difficult task, I know what you mean, because you do get excited. Especially me, I was excited because it was my first big role. I consider it a big role, so I was very excited. It was hard to suppress that excitement and just be professional.
Right.
Hopefully, I pulled it off.
Season 3, you came back, and there's definitely some tricks up your sleeve. I'll just leave it at that. You were working in very close proximity with John.
Yes.
And there were a lot of things, a lot of, walk and talks, a lot of, shifting of the camera. So one of the big questions is when this is happening, and again, I know it's preparation. Did you get any chance, or was there any reason you had to improv any of it?
I didn't have to do much improv. There were a couple of lines that were thrown in by Rob or Dana, like the pudding line. That I didn't understand why we said pudding at the time. Actually, I still don't. And they actually put it in at the end of episode 1, I believe. But no, not much improv. At least not for me. Yeah, I was like, what? He's like, yeah, say pudding. Like, okay.
It's almost like, like when you have terms of endearment.
Yes.
That's it. And you're doing a term of endearment to somebody who is like one of the most macho men. I mean, it's endearing, but it's also insulting. It just adds that, it just adds that little, you're threatening, and all of a sudden you throw in pudding. I'm like, what? So that was it. And then horror comedy. So this particular show, even though you had very dramatic moments, again, it's the horror comedy, which is, surprisingly, it's not a very popular genre. People sometimes don't get it because it breaks up that seriousness in a horror film, but it also adds depth because it kind of gives some sort of reality in the supernatural, a human quality. So when you were encountered with this horror comedy, have you, when you said you did research, have you looked up any horror comedies or even horror to kind of reference this? Like, where did you get your backgrounds?
Well, I wasn't 100% into horror film till Stand Against Evil. I didn't know anything about horror comedy, honestly. When I told one of my friends about the role when I first booked the season 2, he's like, oh, sounds like Ash vs. Evil Dead. I'm like, what's that? He's like, that's like a. Then he started explaining it to me. I never heard of it. So I didn't even know it was a genre until I booked the show. But now that I'm a part of the show, I think it's hilarious. I've even told friends about Stand Against Evil, and they'll watch it, and almost every single time they'll say stuff like, even this past episode, I had one of my friends watch the puppet episode, and they were like, this is hilarious. It's like, how come more people don't know about this show? It's like ridiculously hilarious. It's great. I'm like, I don't know. I was like, I love it too. So it's one of my favorite genres. I mean, I love how it's scary, but John are throwing those insulting jokes to the monsters and the demons to kind of ground it. So I think kind of like even a kid, can watch it and not be totally freaked out. It really perfectly straddles that fence.
Mm-hmm. So the next 2 episodes coming up, the season finale. So one of the things is Gerard Duquette helps Stan crossover. That's probably where we see the true Gerard Duquette. So balancing that horror comedy, now that you've been exposed to it, when people start getting serious, sometimes they start sounding desperate.
Right.
What was your take at this point with your character?
Well, I started to really understand where the storyline was headed. Like I said, I tried to put a human element to it and just try to keep it as real and natural and as grounded as possible. because you're asking, was I kind of headed towards desperation because I understood where the situation was going?
Right.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, just because I had did my homework and had studied and understood where I think what the writing was trying to portray, I was able to keep it grounded, keep it focused, and hopefully keep the audience engaged. And I'm hoping it wasn't too serious because it is a horror comedy.
Mm-hmm.
But I hope we were able in our scenes to raise the stakes and show that it can get serious. You know, if that makes sense. Hopefully,
No.
I answered your question correctly.
No, that did. That's a pretty tightly knit set. Um, everybody there is kind of like family. Um, have you been on other sets kind of like that? And then what's that feeling like? Because there seems to be like a ton of support between the people, between directors, actors, even crew members. Um, that'll help you put out the best product.
Yeah, I mean, it's very surreal almost. It's being on the stand against evil set. I don't know if I can compare it to any other set. I mean, I said this before. Doesn't it feel like work? I feel like I'm allowed to make mistakes, which I think every artist needs that space to be able to make mistakes. And I think they're really there in their whole goal. There's like, even though there's great veteran, big time actors like John and Janet and Deborah and Dana and these guys are great and they're great at what they do. Uh, their main focus is just putting together great material and they'll do whatever it takes to have the best performances out of every actor and every extra and everybody that's working in front and behind the camera. I mean, you never feel a sense of like, okay, these people are better than me, or they make me feel small or nothing. You never have that feeling. You feel like you're there with your friends and you're just working and having a good time and telling a story for to hopefully share with the world. Like I said before, I don't even like leaving. I don't feel like I'm working. I can do it all
Right.
day, and I have fun doing it. And sometimes I'm shocked, like I can't believe they're paying me to do this. I would literally do this for free. I mean, you want to come back, so
Well, that's
I
great.
love it.
That's great that you want to come back because, yeah, there are a lot
Yeah,
of jobs out there where people are just like they do the 9 to 5. They come in, they clock in, they leave, and that's the end of the story.
yeah, and it's some maybe it's because the other shows are serious, but there's sometimes set and you're like, man, shoot, I like acting, but it's like just serious,
Right.
I understand people under a lot of pressure, but you can feel the tension. Like, okay, this is awkward, but at the same time, I get it.
Right. Now, going on your other roles, after Burn Notice, you've amassed quite a collection of roles. Actually, you got on Atlanta with Donald Glover. You're on the Nickelodeon set.
Yes.
You're working on the OWN network. As you're branching out into bigger projects, larger roles, do you feel that your perspective of the acting has changed at all? If you had to say that on your journey, what things have you learned?
Well, I've learned that at first I was very green and kind of innocent in it, and as I kept going and moving forward and gaining experience, I learned that acting is definitely a business, and there's luck involved. Relationships are very important. Building those relationships and just really being prepared and ready. And it's a lot of for a lot of the young actors out there. There's a lot of auditioning. Some people get lucky, catch lightning in a bottle and explode right away. But it's a lot of auditioning and working hard and putting in the groundwork and sometimes not seeing the fruit of your labor, but it's a part of the process. And sometimes it's very nerve wracking and tough, but you still have to trust the process, keep going forward, and staying prepared. Because it's easy to get discouraged and just kind of lay around, but this isn't going to happen. It's tough, and then just your luck, the opportunity comes, and you're not ready. So I think it's one of the only professions where you have to stay prepared, stay professional, stay sharp, and you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. with the exception of a few great veteran actors. They always have scripts thrown at them and opportunities. But for the rest of us that are involved in art, you just have to stay prepared, stay ready, stay enthusiastic, and just stay passionate about it and hopeful, really.
Do you have any new projects that you want to promote?
I have David Makes Man that I recur in, hopefully for years to come. But I'm excited to be a part of that project. Tell Me Your Secrets. That'll be out in 2019. I have a small role in that show as well.
What about Cake?
It's a web series I'm involved in with Daniel Augustin.
Can you tell me a little bit about the storyline?
I don't think I can do it justice explaining it the way he would explain it and the writer would explain it. So I think the theme of the story is he's passionate about baking and cooking, but also in the midst of that, she has this personal life with a lot of drama going on around. It's a very unique story. I don't think there's a story out there like it.
We'll have to follow up then. We're hoping that next year we'll see a season 4 come back for Stand Against Evil, and your character can return. So where can people follow you? Do you have social media handles that you can share with us?
Twitter, I think it's Emmett and just I for Emmett Hunter III. And Instagram is Emmett Hunter III. I have the Facebook public page.
Okay. Do you have any parting words of advice for people who are aspiring to be actors or want to get into the industry?
Yes, just be prepared. Train. So I know a lot of people think you can just do it on the fly. A few actors have. They are the exception to the rule. But I can tell you from experience, train, be prepared, stay optimistic, network, make sure you keep relationships tight, and just don't give up. You just got to persevere and keep going. There's going to be valleys, there's going to be peaks, but you just got to keep pushing. You got to set yourself apart from the rest of the pack. So it has to be your main discipline, it has to be your main passion, and it has to be what you do constantly. But at the same time, you have to find something outside of this art form to keep yourself grounded, and keep yourself, just focused and happy, because the process can be a bit stressful, I would say. So hopefully that's some meaningful advice.
Great. Well, thank you for the opportunity. And, we look forward to seeing you.
Hi, I'm Emmett Hunter. I play Gerard Duquette on Stand Against Evil, and that's my entertainment. What's yours?